Say hi to my people. So just say hi.
Hi.
Just says hi.
Hi,
They
what-
care about you. I've got a little audience and I do art and I talk about you a lot. So there you are. Just say hi.
Hi, what's going on?
Okay, so that was my mom. So anyway, so I had to go let her in and the phone rang and so I was interrupted. The first part of this video, I was talking about some pretty heavy issues. And so if you didn't see that video, basically I was just talking about, you know, some of the struggles that an artist faces with mental illness. Sometimes, not all artists, but it can be common, I think, for an artist to struggle with mental health issues. And I know a lot of artists do. One of my favorite artists, his mental health issues were pretty much put out there on public display. That's him, Brian Wilson, there in his bathrobe. Obviously, I have a lot of empathy for him and his struggles as an artist. That's why I paint him a lot, and well, that and the fact that I really admire his art. But anyway, so I decided to start talking about this while drawing. I'll talk about drawing too, but this is important. And when I went yesterday shopping, I did a video yesterday, if you saw it. It's the video about being thrown out of a Beverly Glen pharmacy for just shopping. All I was doing was shopping. But it really brought up mental illness to me because one of the things that the lady screamed at me was that I was crazy. Now, I didn't do anything in there that was like crazy, I don't think. But that stigma, oh, you're crazy. So you have no value as a person, nothing, if you have mental illness and somehow they can stigmatize you for that, it's like nothing you say has any value anymore. But that wouldn't happen to somebody like Brian Wilson, who's a famous artist. He would just be considered eccentric and we would all have compassion for him. But just think about if that same person, even with all that talent, had not been successful, he could be sitting in some tent somewhere on the beach, just mentally ill, unable to succeed like that. So and there's a lot of artists who are like that. And what is the connection between art and any kind of mental illness? Well, I'm not sure, but I do have a little bit of a theory that sometimes mental illness can be borderline. And I think maybe I'm not a complete borderline, but I have borderline features, which includes just very intense feelings, very intense emotions. Oh, hi, I have a viewer. Yeah, it is all about reputation. Mental illness is stigmatizing, but I'm going to break that stigma because you know what? I make a business of trying to take care of my mental health as an artist. I work programs. I go to 12-step groups, and including Alanon, which I cannot say enough good things about Alanon. And also, I love a program called Recovery Incorporated. If you don't know about this program, please, if you have any issues, mental issues at all, anything from full-blown schizophrenia to just emotions that are hard to control or hard to deal with in public or whatever. If you have any of these things, I recommend a book called Mental Health Through Will Training and a book by Dr. Lowe. Dr. Abraham Lowe, he wrote it in the 30s and he started a program called Recovery Incorporated. That program is why I'm not in a mental hospital, or at least why I don't spend a lot more time in one. And I before I got into that program, Recovery Incorporated, I had been hospitalized 5 times, and at one point was actually held there for 1 month. So once I got into Recovery Incorporated, they taught me techniques to keep that. What they call it working yourself up or working yourself down. It's a real key phrase in recovery. Work myself up, work myself down. So yesterday when I was thrown out of that pharmacy, I was trying really hard not to work myself up. The woman who was throwing me out, in my opinion, had worked herself into a frenzy. But I just pulled out my phone and filmed it and tried to stay calm. And I'm trying not to work myself up about the whole situation, which means reviewing and previewing. That's a phrase from Recovery Incorporated. Don't review and preview. That means just thinking about it again and again and rehashing it in my mind. Instead, I expressed my feelings. I put out a video. I said my truth. It's not a injury on the level that would, that could get a lawsuit, I don't think. And it seems silly to do a lawsuit over a petty thing like that. But I think it is okay to let people know that this is how they're treating people in their store. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start working on this drawing of Rita Hayworth now. And I'm going to just talk while I work about my life and my experiences with mental illness. Now, this is Rita Hayworth I'm drawing. No particular reason that I'm drawing her. Sometimes I'll just stumble on a picture, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to finish this drawing. I'm mainly just working on her jawline right now. Okay, so here's the photo. I'm going to take a real close look and see if I can find anything that needs to be changed. This part here, I'm kind of excited about working on this part right here. Now I can see, so the mouth, where the mouth is, okay, so if the mouth starts, I'm going to map it here. See this beautiful line between the mouth and the cheek here? And then there's a space of white left. See that? That is a very beautiful feature. And you can only get it through the shadows. I think you'll see more what I mean when I get it put in there more. Okay, so I said I was going to talk, and I'm not talking. I need to talk about my feelings about this stuff because I want to help people who also have mental health struggles. And as an artist, I want to talk about why do artists have it so bad in general. Obviously, many artists are perfectly fine and don't struggle, but some do. A lot do. Why is that? Why are artists so often... Well, it makes sense if they have a plethora of emotion to deal with, if their God-given gift is really just constant sense of compassion and empathy. It makes sense. When someone else hurts, they hurt. When you see someone hurt, you hurt. That's part of it. That's part of being, I don't know, you have to, and then you have to manage that. You can't just go around wounded all the time and not manage it, Now I'm getting rid of the air holes in the ear. See, the brush is great for getting rid of air holes. Look at how good this brush works at getting rid of air holes. It's amazing. Even after you get rid of the air holes with the blending stick, you should go back over it with the brush. And the brush really does no harm. First do no harm. The brush does not change anything that you've already created. So there's no risk. See how the brush moves this charcoal into the white area so subtly? Same over here. Moving more. Look at that. Look at how that moves the charcoal so softly, so subtle. See that? I'm going to brush it into the white part of the neck. So anyway, so doing these YouTube videos, well, I'll tell you, yesterday when I was able to show this video to a large audience, it was nice. It was a feeling of empowerment, you know, just to be able to show it. Okay. Anyway, so Recovery Incorporated, that's where I go, or that's where I went anyway. I still go, but I don't have to go as often as I used to have to go. Kind of afraid to talk about some of my mental health struggles, but you know, it's so nice when people do. It's so helpful to everybody when they talk about it. If you talk about feelings of sadness when your children grow up and move out, you help other people who have that struggle. That's the whole principle of the 12-step program, you know. You talk about your struggles and you help people, and by talking about them, you help yourself. So Recovery Incorporated is based on the principle of a book called Mental Health Through Will Training, and I think the bottom line basic statement of mental health through will training is right there in the title. You're not necessarily born with mental health, but you can get it through training. You can train yourself. If you can train yourself to do this art, you can train yourself to be mentally healthy. Doesn't that make sense? If I can train myself to do this, I can train myself to stay calm in a grocery store when somebody is rude, which to me is a hard one. And to me, it is directly related to mental health. Now, maybe it's not insane to be angry when a clerk is rude. Maybe that's not insane. But I don't think mental health necessarily is really about rationality so much as it's about how the emotions intrude on our thinking and just wreak havoc with us, and especially in those short-term moments. Boy, I'm so grateful that yesterday is over, that I did not get arrested for shopping while poor. I'm so grateful. Now, how far does this mouth need to be from the chin? This is the mouth I'm trying to put in here, but I'm not sure if it's the right distance yet. It's got some, maybe the crease in the lip goes up a little higher. Maybe it's still not high enough. Can't quite tell. I'm going to put some marks up here and see how they look. I'm kind of afraid to mess with it. She's got a real haughty mouth there. Rita Hayworth. So this looks more like the top of the lip. That means this can't be the crease in the lip. It has to be under the lip. So the crease is going to come up. Okay. So when you isolate a shape in a photo like this, okay, so I'm looking at the shape, right? I'm looking here. This is the section I'm looking at. It's right here, under the nose, above the chin, right there in the center of the mouth. Now take a really good look at that and see if you can identify what shapes there are that are there. What are the shapes, and how far are these shapes from this shape here? And do I have this shape correctly? No, I think this shape needs to be a little bit more defined. So I'm going to start back here again. I'm gonna put this shadow line in there just a little bit more, with a little bit more density, so I can get the sense of bone, jaw bone. Okay. The other ear right there. Right there. Let's shake it. You see it coming in there? What's the angle? Right there. Gotta be careful. I don't want to put any charcoal marks where they don't belong, or I'll lose the original canvas underneath. Or paper, I guess. Okay, I think I've got a shape here I can put in with confidence. So, yeah, I do think artists have a lot of emotion, a lot of raw emotion. They're not necessarily good people or bad people. They just have a lot of emotion. They have a lot of compassion. They have a lot of empathy, usually, in general. Maybe not all artists, but I think at least I can say that for myself. And I can say that it does make my experience on planet Earth very intense. So when I see injustice, when I see sadness, when I see pain, I really see it. I really feel it. I have to turn it off. I got to turn it off, and then that's where the drugs come in. And I'm sober, by the way. I do use medical marijuana, but I use that for physical pain because, trust me, you do not want to use opiates for physical pain, not on a long-term basis. Oh man, those things will absolutely destroy your brain. They will destroy your mental health, whatever mental health you ever had. I started, at least some people, I think 30% of the people who use opiates for pain will develop some kind of schizophrenia, I think. That's what happened to me. I got better once I got off it, but you wouldn't believe the stuff I was believing. And this was all prescribed. It was all prescription. I don't want to get too caught up in this hair right now. I'm trying to do a jawline, and I don't want to get too caught up in that part, okay? So back to this over here and this neck. I'm just doing the hair so that I can make the neck stand out. But I have to make the hair look real or the neck won't look right either. Or as real as I can. Anyway. So, mental health. I have made a business of my mental health. I have changed. I used to be so different. Well, I used to be so unconscious, is a better way to put it, just unaware of how entitled I was and how much I thought like a victim and how the world owed me something and could not be comfortable in my skin and could not succeed at work because mental illness will affect you at work, and so could not get real help. But today things are very different. I am able to keep a job. I've been keeping a job as a chess coach for a while and working with kids and trying to not allow my basic sensitivity, which is what it is, just highly sensitive, to stop me from succeeding in life. So when those intense emotions come up and you're in a situation, you're out in public and you're in the workplace, what you pray for is a moment of pause between your impulses to speak, your impulses to name call or say something stupid or, just whatever. You want to be able to check them in time. So you pray for that pause. But you cannot just get that pause. That pause comes from practice, from things like practice timeouts, from taking time when you find yourself to be angry to walk away from the situation that is triggering you as soon as you recognize that you're being triggered. That takes work, discipline, practice, just like art. But you can do it. You can do anything, really. I mean, anything you want to do, you can do. Now, this shadow is wrong. I love it, but it's wrong. I got to get rid of it. This needs to be perfectly white right here. If I can get it back to white. It's 20 minutes. Okay, that's long enough. So I've been working on this for 20 minutes, and I'll do some more videos. Maybe I'll do just a basic drawing in the